Here's the thing. I got into the wrong car on a wet Chicago night with neon on in the puddles and rent breathing down my neck. I yanked open the back door of a black sedan and said, "East Pilsen, please," like the meter was already running, and the man behind the wheel glanced at me in the mirror with that billboard profile and said, as a lake at 5 a.m. East Pilsen got it. I was Maya waitress by day, sketchbook by survival kit, talking too much because silence can feel like a trap, you know what I mean. And he was Rowan, or at least that's the name he gave me. Hands easing on the wheel while I rambled about the diner grease that never really leaves your clothes, and the dream I keep in graphite. A tiny studio with white walls and one honest window. He didn't give advice, didn't fix me, just listened. Which sounds small until you realize how rare it is. And when we reached my block with its graffiti cat that owns all of us, he wouldn't take the cash, said on the house, I said. I talk too much, he said. I don't think you do, and I climbed out carrying a dignity that was half-buttoned and a sketchbook that felt heavier than paper. Next morning at the Lakeshore Grill, I sketched on my 10 minutes, because 10 minutes is sometimes the only oxygen you get, and a shadow fell across my page. It was him in a gray sweater that still looked expensive somehow. "That's good work," he said, and I apologized for turning his back. Seat into a confessional, he laughed once like it surprised him, slid into the booth, said, "I'm Rowan, no last name, no card, just Rowan." And before the eggs over hard hit the pass, he pushed a napkin toward me, neat handwriting like a blueprint. "Keep drawing. Don't stop." A few days later, the city got pinned by a steady rain, and I went to my bench near the pond. Anyway, umbrellas bobbing like turtles, willow trees combing the water. And there he was, already holding an umbrella over the empty space like he'd reserved it. "Buck and me have a complicated relationship," I told him. He just smiled and let me draw his shoes first, because the eyes felt like too much. "What would you want if there were no limits?" he asked. And the truth fell out before I could pretty it up. A small studio light. I can trust. Walls that say this is real. He walked me partway home, didn't push, didn't perform, said sleep like a blessing. And for 3 days I was stupid. Happy, yeah, that happened. Then Ray's cousin came through with 2 passes to the Fulton district. Charity gala, thrifted dress, borrowed lipstick, skylight, ballroom that smelled like money in its Sunday best. And 10 minutes in, the announcer boomed, "Please welcome our guest of honor, Mr. Rowan Keaton, CEO of Vale Systems," and the room tilted under me like the ship had turned. His face went up on the big screens, and his name got taller than the walls. My throat forgot how to swallow. He saw me. I watched the flicker where a person chooses between truth and performance. He chose the speech because the speech was already moving without him, and I ran before the marble floor had a chance to drink my tears. "Maya," he called in that hallway, no Tuck's voice now. "Just Rowan, you lied," I said. "It wasn't supposed to be a lie," he said. "I just wanted you to see me without the noise is you." I told him the title, the cameras, the way rooms bend when your name enters. "You had 10 chances to tell me I was scared," he said. And it was so honest. It almost undid me, "So was I said. And I walked, because sometimes walking is the only power you have left. The internet did what it does, blurry photos, cruel captions, gold digger, waitress storms, gala, Keaton's mystery girl, flees people at the diner. Whispered poorly, a coworker asked if I'd seen the article like she wasn't the one showing it to every table. Some tech guys stared too long, like I was both menu and punchline. I kept moving. Coffee plates, breath repeat. And when he stood outside my building in a different kind of rain, asking, "Please just let me explain," I said, "You don't get to edit the truth and ask me to read it out loud." "I needed someone to see me," he said. "Not my money, I needed that too," I told him, and closed the door soft, because he looked like a person who'd had enough hard slams. Weeks got heavy. I avoided billboards and headlines, but at night my hand betrayed me. I'd open the sketchbook to draw anything else, and still the line of his jaw showed up the way his eyes listen when he's quiet. The half-smile that looks like he's about to tell you something true and is afraid of it. I hated that. I couldn't look away from the hurt, and I kept drawing anyway. One gray afternoon, the wind cut down Milwaukee like a rumor, and I saw a little gallery with fresh white paint and a poster taped inside the glass. Coming soon, the city. Seen by Maya Quinn. And I laughed because sometimes life throws a joke so big, the only other option is public weeping. Then I went still because the image was mine, the pond with rain that makes tiny galaxies inside the lights. Were warm, and along the walls, my work hung in frames taken seriously by the room, in a way I had never allowed myself to attempt. I promised you a window, he said from the far end. No tie, no armor, and he looked younger without it. You did this, I asked. He nodded. I can buy flowers or cars or buildings, none of it matters, if it doesn't make this real for you. This is yours. Frames don't erase humiliation, I told him. You let me meet a stranger who wasn't a stranger. Do you think wood and glass can fix that? No, he said. They can't. I can only tell you the truth. I should have started with, I thought if I said CEO, you'd hear bank account, not story. I didn't trust your courage because I was scared of losing the first real thing I'd had in a long time. If there's an again, I said, there can't be masks. No test runs, no half-truths to see if I'm worthy of the whole, then no masks, he said. And he meant it in a way you can feel more than you can fact-check. The opening night was all those soft gallery sounds. Shoes on concrete glasses touching people saying composition, and negative space with their heads tilted just so. Ray squeezed my shoulder and whispered, They're here for you. Him, and for the first time I believed it. Rowan stepped to the middle like he wanted courage more than applause. These drawings are proof the city has a soul even when it pretends it doesn't, he said. They're also proof I was a coward. When I met Maya, I hid tonight. I'm done hiding, and then he pulled a small box that made the air in the room inhale. He knelt like a person, not a headline. The best mistake I ever made was the night you thought I was your driver. I want a life that feels like waking up, will you marry me? I saw what the internet would do if I said yes, and I saw my landlord's face if I said no. I saw Ray's chipped mugs and the way his shoulders dropped that first time he laughed for real. I saw my drawings on white walls that smell like paint and possibility. So I lifted him up by both hands because I needed us eye level. I'm saying yes to us, I told him. But not to the ring tonight. A gasp moved around the room looking for a chair. Hear me, I said. I want this to be about the studio light and the diner mornings and the park bench after rain. Not about Veil Systems PR. If you want me, you'll put the ring away and walk out with me like two people, not a story. And he looked at the ring, looked at me, smiled with a softness I had never seen, closed. The box slipped it back in his pocket, and the applause wasn't stadium loud. It was human, warm like dishes clinking, when everyone actually means it. We stepped into the Chicago night. The glass held our reflection. Two shapes, a little blurry inside a city that doesn't pause. People are going to say, I turned you down. I told him people will say a lot of things, he said. We'll say the true ones. And later I stood alone in front of the pond, drawing, and thought, how mistakes can be doorways if you don't slam them too fast, how power hides, how easy it is to confuse caution with kindness. I don't know if putting the ring away was brave or foolish. I do know it was ours. The next morning, the headlines tried to explain me to me. Waitress rejects CEO, artist sets terms. Like I'm a negotiation instead of a person. But the story belongs to whoever tells it, and this one is mine. I got in the wrong car because I was tired and scared and trying to make Friday blink first. I stayed in the right story because I wanted a life I could say out loud without editing. Maybe you think I should have taken the ring. Maybe you think he should have told me the truth on the curb. Maybe we're both wrong or both right. Depending on where you're standing, that's life, so tell me what you see. Was I right to say yes to us but no to the ring? For now, do we judge too fast? When money walks into the room, or is caution just common sense? Drop your city, tell me your story, hit subscribe. If this hit a nerve and if you've ever been mislabeled, gold digger, snob, social clown,